can see from this ICANN, which is the organization that manages the URLs so that there's no chaos. From their website, we can see that the most expensive ones over time, right? And as I mentioned in one of the classes, that we bought Dime.com for $7.5 million. But as time goes on, we want to make sure to have URLs we'll remember. So we did Ice.com at the time. It cost us 850,000, but you don't have to spend that much money. But you have to make sure that people are going to remember or be able to identify in the back of the mind who actually is what is your URL. So when you're building a website, you need to think about the platform. Platforms are very important. So there are many platforms. There's software as a service, SaaS, and Shopify is a company out of Ottawa that does it. You can use their software to build your website. You can use companies like Demandware, which are very expensive. They actually build a website for you and they maintain the website, and normally it's quite expensive. Then you can go with companies like Magento. A lot of mid-tier companies are using Magento. You need to know how to build websites. There are companies that do that for you, or you can build it in-house. But the software is solid and it's always being updated, and it's a great solution. So when you're thinking about building websites, you need to make sure to have there are best practices out there. You're not reinventing the wheel. Um, when you think about the best practices, I mean, these are best practices that um, experts have built over time, and you need to make sure to use them in your website because people expect that from great companies. So when you're building your website, you have to make sure that you think about usability first. That's the foundation. Then goes searchability, which means can the search engines find me? If you're going to build a site based on Flash, which we're going to talk about later, or you're going to build a site based on tons of images with not many tags, then Google will not know what they're looking for, so they won't find you. You have to make sure to have the right amount of content, the right amount of tags, the right um, title tags, like we're going to talk about in our SEO class. And once you have that, and it makes it, and you index it with Google, then you have a more chance of, you have a better chance of people finding you. And then last but not least, which some people focus on to begin with, is the design, right? The design is very important, but if people can't find what they're looking for, or the UI, the user interface is not how it should be, then you miss out on the whole point. So design is important, but the most important thing is for us to think about is the usability. So there's usability conversion-oriented design, which is where a guy by the name of Brian Eisenberg, he wrote a few books on usability. And the most important thing, he came out with this idea of conversion-oriented, so that when you're building your website, every single page has a focus, or could have two or three focuses. But the most important thing is that it's pushing people down the funnel. There's a goal at the end of this. So when I put this link over there, or I use this color, or I have this font, or I have this text, or I have this content, everything that I'm using is there for a specific reason. It's there to push people further down the funnel. So when we think about usability, and we think about, it shouldn't just be beautifully looking and all that stuff, but we need to think about how people are going to view this and what questions they have at that moment and how they're going to be answered by that specific logo, or that specific link, or that specific text, or that content. So as an example, if you look at the Volkswagen site, now Volkswagen's having a lot of problems now with their emissions thing. They weren't very nice, and they gave out wrong reports. But except for that, if you look at their website, they had a focus in their website. They were looking at creating a website where people have questions about Volkswagens. So what were their focuses when they went to build this website? So when you think about, look at the next slide, Volkswagen, their American site wanted to accomplish questions that they knew consumers were asking in the stores, or people were sending emails. So what was, they gathered all that information, and they put the most important things that people were asking, and they put it in bold, and front and center. And the secondary things they put in different links on the website. But as long as if I come to the website and the first second I come there, I don't have to think, right? I'm coming there and the question that I have is being answered. And how does a company know that? Well, they have customer service agents that can help them. They have social media that can help them. So all these different things of listening to what the consumer is looking for will be able to be answered by building the correct website that answer those questions. And if you don't, right, then you're going to have what we call, people are going to get stuck. So it only takes a person 1 second to look at a website and determine if they will find. And the way a consumer looks is he goes from left to right and then down. So making sure that the key things that you're trying to get across, the key information that you believe the consumers are looking for, are in this sort of going left down, because that's how a consumer scans. And if he doesn't find it in a millisecond, he's gone. So through the history, websites have grown amazingly. When we built our website, even the websites before us, like Amazon's first website, it was just text because it was dial-up and people couldn't access images really well. Over time, web softwares and SaaS softwares online and cloud softwares have helped, and the ability for people to go away from dial-up and to start using Videotron and companies like that, where the amount of information they can download at a time gave websites the ability to build much more robust and heavier pages. So if we look at the history, now you can't see it on this slide over here, but if you have the original slides, you'll see there's three different images here. But the beginning of the web, there were the pure plays like Amazon, Blue Nile. We were pure play in jewelry, and the major companies like Walmart, Sears, Gap, they said that the web is a fad, and therefore we don't have to come along. So they only started building their websites in 2002, when Amazon has already established themselves with the software and with the facilities to ship the goods. And it took all these companies like Walmart, the biggest company in the world, they had to catch up, and they're still catching up. And Amazon is killing them because of what we said about last week, lock in, lock out. Right? So the ability to be able to be first and to make the mistakes early, and the consumers understanding that they're mistakes, because they're also learning how to use the web in early 90s, in the late 90s. But then when Walmart and Sears and Kmart came online, they had to make their own mistakes, and consumers weren't as forgiving at that point, because Amazon already has figured it out with the one-click shopping and the abilities to ship the goods at a high speed, where Walmart wasn't designed for that. So that took time. And when consumers were moving online and online became a viable place to do business, then all these different softwares that sort of solidify the experience, like analytics and site search and reviews. So all these companies started popping up, like Bazaar Voice that helped companies with reviews, Google Analytics that help companies analyze their websites, sites that help companies that help people supply information on people who bought this, bought that. So all that information was there, and created as the web started becoming a popular thing, and people started using it, and companies started needing this information. So it gave them the ability to create these new companies. So as we know, there are multi-channel companies online like Best Buy, Petco, Macy's. Pure plays are companies like Amazon, Blue Nile, and interestingly enough, now companies are starting to bricks and clicks. Right, so they started out as a pure play, and then they decided to open a store. which is a new trend because they understand that at the end of the day, even though people are getting what they need online, they still want to feel the product. So companies like Warby Parker that sells glasses, they now have 7 stores. Birchbox, Bonobos. These are all companies that started out online, understood what the consumers are looking for, heard the consumers' concerns with regard to not being able to try on the thing or the glasses or feel it, and saw an opportunity to go off. And interestingly enough, Warby Park, based on the NRF's latest studies, they have the second highest rate of per square footage income. Tiffany's is #1 and Warby Parker's #2. And to create that feat, being an online company is insane. But it's all about the experience. So comparative shopping is a way for people to search based on a specific product and see what other companies are doing and selling it for at different prices. As consumers started getting really savvy with online, companies started coming up with new gimmicks on how to sell online. So we had companies that took the idea of a deal and a discount and mixed them together, and that created Groupon. We all know the story with Groupon, that when they started out, they were this unbelievable prodigy, and they went from 0 sales to $500 million in sales very quickly. Company approached them, Google approached them, offered them $6 billion. They turned it down. Now they're they're a company. They're doing well, but nothing special. Then this idea of VIP shopping. You had to be a member to buy, right? Companies like Beyond the Rack, Gilt. So a great example is Gilt. They went from 0 sales to 500 million in sales very, very quickly. They got huge investment, over 150 million in investment, and they had an evaluation of over $3 billion. And the fad died down. People were like, okay, it's enough emails. I don't want to hear from you guys anymore. And today they were bought last week for 250 million. It's not chump change, but it's not the valuation that people invested in them. Then came this idea of urgency, like it's only for the next 12 hours, right? So companies like Woot, where they sell 1 product a day, and people love this idea. But again, they had this huge rise, but people got sick of it, and then now they're doing well, but it's not where they used to be. So what's the most important thing is that when a person comes to the website, they have needs, right? They're your partner. When you recognize that every single consumer that comes to your website is a potential customer, so then you will look at the UI and the usability in a different way. So what are the characteristics? What are the users looking for? We all know there are many different kinds of reasons people come to your website, and you have to answer that question, right? So is this user coming to browse? Is this user coming to find out where my stores are? Is this user coming to find out there a sale? Is this user looking to find out product information, or did their item ship yet, and when is it going to be delivered? So knowing that there's many different customers that come to your website and addressing each one individually, that's the key to great usability. And the only way you're going to know that is by interviewing your customers and reading the emails and look at social media and finding out what are the most important things, bringing those forward and pushing back things that might to you seem like important, but to the consumer, it's not what they're looking for. So again, we just discussed that, right? What are they looking for? Are they looking for content, contact information? So for instance, an example I bring over here is as Stellan Dot. It's a great company that was started out of California, and they took the Tupperware, these parties, this Tupperware party, and they brought it to the next level with jewelry. And they said, and they created all these individual entrepreneurs who do these parties in their house, and they show the jewelry and they sell it. Now, interestingly enough, in this example, around Valentine's Day, right, they figured that key information was delivery. If you're a guy and you have Valentine's Day and you don't be the one to forget or to delay, so key information, I don't have to look, right? I see the website right away in my face. I see that delivery time, right? Order it now, and the latest you can order it by is this and this date. So again, what are the needs, right? So you're making sure that if people are searching from their phone, that they have different needs, right? Because the window the frame that they're using is much smaller. So are you going to create a regular website, a website that is good for mobile, or there's this new idea, I mean, it's called responsive, which sort of breaks down when someone's using a cell phone or using an iPad or using the web. So each one of these things are different needs that a user has when they come to the website. Are you going to use Flash, right? Anybody who uses an iPhone knows that Flash doesn't work, right? So Flash gives you the ability to create all these cool things and these transitions and these beautiful things, and you can do all these programs, but if half the people who are using cell phones are not to your website, and they're just going to get that little image that says not viewable, then you're missing the point. So one of the most important things that you can give online, which is especially if you're just starting out, is this idea of creating a relationship, creating value. Um, the most important thing is service, right? If you're going to create service, create trust, right? And that's going to create word of mouth, and that's going to bring more customers. If a person has a satisfactory experience with your company, they're going to come back, and not only that, they're going to tell other people. So in the online world, we found, interestingly enough, that not only people are looking for customer service on your website, but they're actually also looking for customer service when they come to your social media platforms, like on Facebook. They'll ask a social question, and they don't get it on Facebook. They're going to leave this really bad review. So, for instance, if you're not going to, I send an email and it takes a week for an answer to come back. I'm going to think, okay, this is a company that I don't want to do business with. Interestingly enough, we have this idea that there's 30-day money back guarantee on ice.com, and also that we've been established since 1999, which in the online world, that's a big, big, big deal, because that shows that we're an established company and we're here to stay. On the bottom of a website, you can add all these different trust things, right? By credit cards are trust, that you accept all these credit cards, which is a big deal. And then hacker safe and Better Business Bureau. These are all things that you can add, sign up to. They'll do some testing on your website. They'll send anonymous shoppers to see if the product that they order. But once they give you the approval, the seal, then customers, when they start doing their research and thinking, oh, I never heard of this company, can I do business with them? They're going to look at all these different things, and they're going to say, okay, they've been certified by Better Business Bureau, FedEx works with them, the Jewelry Association of America, the GIA, the BizRate has great ratings from other people, so I trust this company. A lot of times, there are companies that give you ratings. Even if you go to Google, they'll have ratings sometimes on companies. BizRate, which is interesting, what they do is they do a post-sale. So it's a third party, so people trust it. It's a pop-up that comes up and says, how was your service? How was this? How was that? You can go to BizRate and check it out. And then most importantly is that they do a post-sale, even further down the line, after the thing was delivered, was the product meet expectations? And like this, if a person wants to know, is this company legitimate, what they're going to do is they're going to go to BizRate and see, okay, what are people saying about this company? And that will bring hopefully trust and solidify the sale. So this is what BizRate looks like. It's a great company out there. Now, one of the things that you need to think about is when you're building your website, that you're going to have to build a database, base of your products. In the beginning, you might use Excel to have all your products in one place. And because when you're building your database, you need URL, you need description, you need the technical aspects of that product, and then you need an image and possibly a second image from a different angle, and then a video. And all these things need to sit somewhere for your website to pull it. So that's the database. And then eventually, if you have a solid database, you can start now feeding that data feed right, into many different shopping engines once you've cleaned it up and created it in a way that they can read it. And then there are certain companies like Channel Advisor, which what they do is they take your data feed, they massage it so that you can then feed it to many shopping engines at the same time, so you can sort of bring more traffic to your website. Uh, the thing that really sets apart shopping online from any other place where people can buy is that you can actually do testing, right? So usability testing is such an important thing, because then you know what the consumers are doing, and then you can either change or modify or change the button, change the color, and by testing all these things, you can really imagine if you have a funnel and there's holes in the funnel, and you don't know what those holes are, but you can figure out that this hole means something, and you can patch that hole. Suddenly now more water is going through. So consumers are that water, and the more and more you can patch up the holes through testing and understand why they're leaving, then you can build your website that creates a much better experience and that converts customers into buyers. So um, simple stuff you can do is add your telephone number. Usability testing is very important. So I'm bringing an example here, but I want you to click on it at home, and you see this website. What they do is they do usability testing, where they have people, while they're going through your website, speaking. In other words, they have a task. They tell the person, I need you to find a diamond ring. So what they do is, while looking, they send the person on a mission. Okay, fine. And while they're looking, talking and saying, okay, okay, I'm going here, I'm moving my mouse here, I'm doing this and that. And like this, if you listen to the tape and see where people are getting stuck, you can make the changes based on that. So if you look over here, talk about heat maps. Interestingly enough, there's these programs which sort of you put it on the front of someone's computer, and you can see exactly where the eye goes and where it stops and what information are they grabbing. This is an image of Google search, where how people look at Google search. That's why if you notice on the far right there that the three top results on Google get the most eye contact that it pulls. That's why the first one is paid and the second and the third is not. And it's very important that when you're building your website, to understand exactly where people's eyes are being drawn, and the thing that's drawing their eyes, is it important for you? I just have a very funny image here that they did the same thing, heat map for men, what men look at a baseball player and what women look at a baseball player. Interestingly enough, I don't know if everybody agrees, but it's quite funny. So I want you to click on this link as well, because over here what they do is they do this A/B testing, and you can click on that link and do a test yourself and see what answer you would give or be, and then you will see the test was done, and the results most of the time are different than what you were thinking. But the interesting thing is that online you can split your traffic, and you can send half the people to this page and half the people to this page, and there's a small variation of change. It could be just the color of the button, or it could be the text, or what it says in the button. And what happens is you can see right away that what is the percentage difference of people clicking, and by determining that can, if you're getting millions of visitors, that can mean huge amounts of money, even if it's small incremental change of percentage of people moving forward. So when we talk about customer-centric web design, right, we need to focus on what the customer's goals are, who the customer is. Okay, great examples of sites where sites have won awards based on usability or different things. You can go to the Webby Awards. It happens once a year, and over there are some great examples of fantastic websites based on different things that they determine. The judges, and these are judges that have years and years of UI, of usability experience, and they determine based on different criteria of why, best campaign, best website, all this stuff, and it's a great resource if you want to really understand what is important. Now, one of the things that has come about lately, which is really important, is something called personas, which we'll talk about in the next video.